Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Uypala, and I am excited to present my research on indigenous knowledge in education, a case study at Cabangahan Integrated School. This study explores the role of indigenous knowledge in the learning process and how it can be effectively integrated into formal education. Traditional knowledge and practices hold deep significance for indigenous communities and should be safeguarded. When students see their culture reflected in their education, they engage better and learn more effectively. Many indigenous communities face educational barriers, and incorporating their knowledge can create a more inclusive learning environment. So, Cabangahan Integrated School provides a unique setting to explore how indigenous knowledge is used and its impact on its students. So, education is one of the most powerful tools for progress and development in any society. However, for education to be truly effective, it must be inclusive and relevant to all learners, particularly those from indigenous communities. One crucial aspect of this inclusivity is the integration of indigenous knowledge into formal education. So, Kabangahan Integrated School provides a unique setting for the study as it serves as a diverse student population, including indigenous learners, examining how indigenous knowledge is integrated into the learning process. Problem statement and research questions. So many schools struggle with how to include indigenous knowledge in their curriculum. Rural schools like Cabangahan Integrated School face additional challenges such as limited resources and teacher training. We need strategies that are evidence-based and practical. So despite the recognized importance of indigenous knowledge, it is not always effectively integrated into formal education system. Many schools struggles into how to include the indigenous knowledge in their curriculum in a meaningful way. This challenge is particularly evident in rural schools, such as Cabangahan Integrated School, where limited resources, insufficient teacher training, and standardized curricula often make it difficult to incorporate indigenous perspective. Without a clear strategy, the rest is that indigenous students may feel disconnected from their education, which could impact their learning outcomes. So, given these challenges, this study seeks to address the following key research questions. First, what indigenous knowledge is relevant to the curriculum? Second, how is indigenous knowledge integrated into teaching? Third, what impact does it have on student outcome? By answering these questions, this study aims to contribute practical insights into improving indigenous knowledge integration in schools. Literature review. What do we already know? So, existing research has highlighted the value of indigenous knowledge in education, particularly in enhancing student engagement and improving learning outcomes. So, there are several key findings from the literature support the need for this study. First, values of indigenous knowledge. The study shows that incorporating indigenous knowledge increases student engagement and improves learning outcomes. Second, integration methods. Some schools use storytelling, experiential learning, and community involvement. Third, challenges. Limited resources, lack of teacher training, and curriculum constraints remain significant obstacle. While much research has been conducted on indigenous knowledge in education, there is limited information on how it is specifically integrated in school like Cabangahan Integrated School. This study aims to fill the gap by providing first-hand insights into the effectiveness and challenges of indigenous knowledge integration in this particular context. Theoretical framework. So to guide this study, I am using two key educational theories that support the integration of indigenous knowledge into education. First, culturally responsive teaching. This approach emphasizes the importance of including students' cultural backgrounds in teaching to make learning more effective. Second, place-based education. This theory supports learning that is rooted in the local environment and community, making it more relevant to students. So both these theories highlighted the need for an inclusive and contextual relevant curriculum that acknowledge and values indigenous knowledge. How will we find out? So to explore the integration of indigenous knowledge in education, so the study follows a qualitative case study approach. First, setting. This research will take place at Cabangahan Integrated School, a rural school where indigenous knowledge is part of the community daily life. Second, participants. The study will involve teachers, students, parents, and community members who are involved in or affected in indigenous knowledge integration. So this approach allows for an in-depth understanding of the experiences and challenges faced by those involved in indigenous knowledge integration. Data collection methods. To ensure a comprehensive understanding of the research topic, so I will employ multiple data collection methods. First, interviews. I will conduct structured and semi-structured interviews with teachers, students, and community members to understand their perspective. Second, observation. I will observe classroom interactions, teaching methods, and student engagement to see how indigenous knowledge is incorporated into lessons. Third, document analysis. Reviewing lesson plans, textbooks, and school policies related to indigenous knowledge. So by using these diverse methods, I am to collect research rich and reliable data that provides a well-rounded picture of the topic. Data analysis and trustworthiness. So once the data is collected, it will be analyzed using the following strategies. First, thematic analysis, identifying common themes and patterns in responses. Second, content analysis, reviewing documents for references to indigenous knowledge. Third, triangulation, comparing data from different sources to increase reliability. By applying these rigorous analytical methods, the study will be provided credible and well-supported conclusions. Expected outcomes and impact. Based on the research findings, I expect to develop first a framework for integrating indigenous knowledge into the curriculum. Second, recommendations for teaching practices that enhance student learning. Third, insights into impact of indigenous knowledge on student outcomes, which could benefit the school, the community, and the broader educational field. These outcomes will not only benefit Cabangahan Integrated School but also contribute to the broader field of indigenous education. So thank you everyone for your time and attention.